Welcome to the show, Dealing with Feeling. Today we're going to add a new feeling onto our wheel of feelings called humor. And I think it's going to be right about here. And the reason why we're going to talk about humor is we have a special guest.
Hello.
Jess Elliott. And she's here to talk about her book that is really, really funny. The title of this book is Monkey Mind. And I'm going to hold it up so you can see it. And it's available on Amazon.
As a paperback or as an ebook.
Yeah. And she has other books too we'll talk about later. But your book is really funny. And it got me to thinking with my book, my show here, Dealing with Feelings, I don't really have the emotion of, I guess it would be laughter, or what is it that makes us being funny, or having our funny bone tickled, or what is it that happens inside us to make us laugh? And I figured it's somewhere around the area of surprise and amazement.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier. I think it might be a release of tension. So, yeah, something in maybe the realm of surprise. Because sometimes you laugh and you don't, it kind of comes as a, what would you say, almost
kind
involuntary reaction.
An explosion.
You know? Yeah, a release, so.
Yeah, and I was laying down on the pillow, going to sleep, and then I'd be like, I was remembering things I read in the book, and it's just, the way you build the scene is just incredible, because it's sort of, you talk about Florida, and North Central Florida in particular, which I'm very familiar with because I live here, and then you place little humor devices in there that really make you laugh because you're setting the scene. How do you set the scene in this book, and what exactly is the setting of this book?
Well, they say write what you know, and I live in North Central Florida, and I think people outside of the state think that Florida is all Disney World and shopping, and I don't Miami and the Keys, but there's the old Florida that's dying, unfortunately, but there's still, we have the oak trees, we have the Spanish moss, we have wildlife. We have all kinds of things we wish we didn't have, like love bugs that are kind of unique to Florida. We have alligators that can come up in your back lawn if you happen to have any body of water. So it's a little wild still, even though we, keep building and building with the Walmart, Sprawl Mart. So anyway, I wanted to make this distinctly that kind of old Florida feel to it, which is what we live in because we're out in the country.
And that was really fun because within that setting, you really have a lot of meat and potatoes, so to speak, about what you're aiming at for the story of a woman who's trying to build a sense of serenity and peace in her building a yoga retreat, and then all these things that sort of happen that try to get in the way of her peaceful mindedness.
Yeah.
Which, when you're a meditator or a prayer or somebody who tries to be peaceful, you'll really laugh at this because, there's always going to be something that gets in the way of that.
Right. And I wrote the book hoping that in its own way, they say you have to have a hook and you have to get the action rolling right in the beginning. But in some ways, I kind of hope that the book itself is a meditation because it's not that fast-paced. There's a lot of mental buildup about, okay, so she's preparing to open this retreat. She buys a dilapidated fish camp and she converts it into a meditation center. And so there's some problems with that. But then it should be easy. It should be a soft opening. She's only got a couple of guests. What could go wrong? It's going to be great. And then, it doesn't exactly go the way she plans.
And one of the things, speaking of potatoes, there's a thing that you do with this air potato, which, air potatoes are these little potatoes that are actually poisonous that grow on vines here in North Central Florida, and something happens with this air potato.
Yeah, we're not going to give too much away, but yeah, an air potato is, I believe, sort of in the kudzu family, and it's a vine that it's really quite an environmental marvel that these potatoes grow up the vine, and then when they get to a certain size, they fall off and roll, and then seed and start a whole new vine. So they can take over rather quickly, and they really do look just like potatoes. So I won't say exactly how that comes into play, but it comes as a bit of a shock, and and that's kind of funny.
And also the way, if you've ever been a teacher or gone to a group meeting of any kind and everyone sits in a circle and tells their story, that one at the beginning that was just tickled my funny bone about how this one person said some things that really made you want to, like, it was
cringeworthy, very cringeworthy. But I think in a retreat setting, people want to be honest because they're coming to, they're not coming to be shams to pretend to be something else, or they kind of let your guard down to grow, to let things go, and so he lets it go, and everybody else has to kind of deal with the bomb in the room.
And it's sort of like a series of events, one thing after another, that is sort of crashing against the walls of peacefulness. And that's something that we all have to struggle with when we're trying to maintain peacefulness, I think. So that book, and then the meditations and the thoughts about that, I think what I feel about the book is I want to go back and reread it again.
Oh, good.
Because I was so into the plot that I was being pulled on to say, oh, what's going to happen next? That I wasn't as peaceful as I should have been, trying to get into the peaceful mindedness part. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of an exercise, really, in thinking about that. Mm-hmm. Really, I think any meditation leader or retreat leader might just have a real ha-ha, guffaw, laugh about it. Anyway.
I think, too, people think that meditation, you have to have absolute, the perfect setting. It has to be quiet, it has to be tranquil, and I've been in enough meditations that took place in public spaces where, you just about get comfortable, and then the people in the next room start talking about the 1-800, this is how you do, and you're trying to find your inner peace, and that's number, once again, is 1-800, okay. And really, being able to meditate through loud noises, through people talking in the next room, whatever, that's real life.
Yeah. I mean, and Quakers, too,
right.
I think, because we meet in silence, and having, somebody come in and talk about the new car they bought. No, please. But you can't get people to stop because you have to allow. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's all about allowing. Mm-hmm. So I guess, I really, really highly recommend this book, and thank you for being on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.